Camellia build for unfair difficulty. Remember, if it works on unfair, it will work on all other difficulties as well. Camellia is like mega carry during Act 1, very solid during Act 2, and then it all depends how you wanna play her. Alright. Quite simple. This character, she can be played as a melee, rapier, huge crit. Alright, she can be played as transmutation, spellcaster. She can be played as evocation, electricity, spellcaster. She can be played as buffer. So a lot of different ways for Camellia here, and of course tons of hexes also, because she's a spirit shaman, spirit hunter. So I made a classic crit melee with Camellia. Don't look at numbers that much over here, because this with proper domains can go up to plus 90 and well above plus 100 attack if you have specific domains on other characters and so on, specific buffs. Not to mention that this is my legend run and she missed like 3 mythic levels. Alright, but all in all, let's see how to level her up properly for melee build. For ranged builds, okay, I mean for spellcasting builds, you can check how I made Neni or Diran and apply the same thing on her, only with different elemental damage type. From skills, she needs trickery and she needs lore religion. Everything else doesn't matter that much. Items, very simple over here. We need wisdom and charisma, alright, for the helmet. Early on in the game, it's all wisdom. Mid-game, wisdom charisma mix. Later on, if you decide to play her as melee, she can also profit well out of helmets that give flat armor class +2, for example. As far as amulet goes, when she is played as melee, it's natural armor. When not, it's any amulet that will raise her spell damage. Same can be said about goggles for melee, piercing gaze for others, something that's gonna raise DC or spell penetration. If you play as a melee, Karamaki is a solid option. If not, she doesn't even need an armor when she stays behind. For the robe of transmutation is best if you decide to play her as transmutation spirit hunter. For the first ring, we took ring of protection, since from +1 to +6, of course, as the game goes, cause we are making her as a melee. For the second ring, again, she's a melee, ring of evasion. These rings, they depend a lot on the build. Again, there are different rings for different type of builds, whether you want to play her as transmutation, whether you want to play her as evocation, or a classic buffer. This is a melee version, so armor class and evasion on her. For the belt, it's classic perfection belt. She needs dexterity as the main stat. Late game, it's physical perfection belts. For gloves and bracers, again, same story. You need something that's gonna raise overall damage, okay? Bonuses to CMD and so on, or flat armor bonuses and some passives that will nuke enemies and so on. For and when you play her as a caster, the story completely changes. You need gloves and bracers that gonna raise spell pen, DC, something if you have for transmutation, for evocation, things like that. Spirit trackers are the best option for her because they raise spirit weapon enchantment ability per day. For weapons, it's classic rapiers into small shields, bucklers. Now let's check Mythic Path. As I said, this was the run when I was a legend, okay, so she is missing level 9 and 10. So, first things first, last stand as the first one is a no-brain. After that, it's Mythic weapon focus on a rapier. After that, it's nature because of the animal companion over here, Mastodon. I took Mastodon, take whatever you like. For level 4, improved critical on rapier, Mythic. Rupture restraints to negate all of that disgusting crowd control from enemies. Weapon specialization into rapier, a leading strike for number 7. For number 8, it's gonna be flawless attacks. For number 9, we can take unrelenting assault. And for number 10, we can take mythic toughness. That's why I'm saying the numbers will go way much higher, okay, with specific domains and when you have full mythic leveling available. Okay, this is a legend path, so that's why she's a bit weaker. She can be extremely strong, this can go to 100, this can go from 50 to 100. Classic leveling. I said, if you want a player as a caster, you will check my Nino or Diran guide and just switch elemental damage for electricity. And keep everything else, like spell penetration, evocation, schools, and so on. You just copy-paste that with different type of elemental damage and you're good to go. It's very simple to build her like that. This is a melee Camellia, so she starts with a weapon finesse, then we're gonna transfer into weapon focus rapier, then we're gonna transfer into fencing grace rapier. After that it's shake it up, after that it's outflank, after that it's gonna be improved critical on a rapier. After that, it's precise strikes. After that, we go with combat reflexes to grab seize the moment. And critical focus. One final level will go into a fighter for a free feat, so we take Hammer the Gap once you're level 20. Now we're gonna check her hexes. The first one you take is Protective Luck. It will carry you all the way through Act 1. After that, it's an Ice Plant. After that, it's a Ward. After that, it's Hampering Hex. Then an Evil Eye. Battle Master, Battle Ward. Now I'll hover over every ability here, pause when you need to, and let's go. Spellbook for Camellia. This varies a lot from like 3 and onwards, depends on the build of course, but it's pretty much the same. At the start of the game you're gonna use Divine Zap, you're gonna use Guidance from cantrips. After that it's classic Bless, Remove Fear, Bane, some Burning Hands, Sleep, and Entangle would be bread and butter skills for Act 1, especially Entangle. This is the best option you can get. You just entangle the entire screen, enemies take time to reach you, you can burst them out before they get to you. Extremely good to have 2 or 3 of those at the start of the game. For level 2 it's the same story, but this time it's thickening entanglement, okay? Again the entire screen, again mega slow, and again you have enough time to deal with enemies. If you ask me, Camellia is like extremely useful during that Act 1, and she carries hard in Act 1. Of course, protection from alignment and bark skin are classic. For level 3, Camellia starts with distraction, or better to say with animate dead 4 times. Delay poison communal is also cool, and you're gonna take for a spirit magic slot classical magical vestment. Now spirit magic slots, they will go into Torn Body, so she retaliates damage. After that we take some self buffs, divine power. We want self buffs with Camellia because this is melee Camellia and we want Camellia to hurt. Okay. Classic restoration, stone skin, and again spike stones, they can carry you through Act 2. From level 5, again self buffs, aspect of the wolf, alright. And that should be the most important one. The rest that you can learn is True Seeing, Animal Growth, Cave Fangs, Baleful Polymorph, and Break Enchantment. For 6 AoE buffs for your entire team, including True Seeing and Stone Skin Communal, AoE Stone Skin. There's not much to say here, just cast everything before entering the fight and that's it. For level 7, we're gonna take Wine Trap into Legendary Proportions, into Ice Body, a bit of Heal, and Cloak of Dreams that you're gonna apply before entering combat. For level 8, classic Frightful Aspect, it's great on Camellia. And that would be the most important one here. For level 9, once you expand all other spells, you can always shape change into a different type of animal and fight like that. Of course, Foresight to raise armor, Winds of Vengeance to raise that movement speed, and Elemental Swarm for some distraction. So how do we play Camellia? Again, for late game, you're gonna have domains. Okay, especially if you play on harder difficulties, so these numbers, they will go up. Alright, with Madness, with Guarded Heart, with True Strike, and so on, they can reach easy 100, and she can hurt like crazy. Alright, that will be for the late game. For early game, I already said how it goes. It goes with Bless on your entire team, remove Fear into Entangle on enemies, and then you wait for your ranged characters, Lan or Venduag, to pick them off. Okay, Voljev can also cast early game those magic missiles, Nenio can do it too, Diran can cast Bone Shaker, and enemies will take time to reach your team. Once they reach, you're gonna trigger Spirit Weapon Enchantment, alright, and you're gonna trigger Battle Spirit and enter the fight with Camellia. Again, for early game, ramp up the Sickening Entanglement, and it's an easy win. Did not forget about Barkskin on Scylla, for example. Later on, you will want to distract enemies with Animate Dead and keep those entangles on the floor. For level 4, on top of all of those entanglements, now you're gonna have Spike Stones too, so enemies will be mega slowed, and you can kite them out for straight 2 minutes in a row until they reach. On 5, you start buffing up yourself with Aspect of the Wolf and enter those fights in melee. By that time, you should have Guarded Heart available on someone, so she's gonna be quite crazy from level 5 and above, especially on level 6 when you grab all of these. The first one that you should learn is through seeing Communal if no one else has it, and if someone else has this one, then you go with a Stone Skin Communal. After that, it's classic legendary proportions, Ice Body, Heal from time to time, and Trap, and of course Cloak of Dreams for enemy to sleep around you. After that, it's Frightful Aspect, as I said, very useful on Camellia, a bit of summons for distractions, and it ends up all with Elemental Swarm as a summon and some movement speed buffs on Camellia. Basically, as I said, this is a melee build. It requires other companions to have specific domains for her to be actually good, to pass that 80-90 attack and starts to hurt, alright? In early game, she's mega carry, she completely falls off during mid game, and again she becomes a mega carry during the final act. That's how Camellia is. That's if you decide to play with a melee. If you decided to play with Storm Bolts, okay, Storm Camellia, I said copy my build for Diran or for Nenio. You're just gonna switch elemental damage and you're gonna start playing with Storm Bolts. Alright, if you go with Ice Camellia, or better to say, if you copy my Nenio build for Camellia, then you're gonna go with Ice Storm. Okay, you're gonna equip Ring that gives different ice spells, and you're gonna play with that. If you go with Fire Camellia Evocation, then you're gonna play with Red Salamander Ring, and you're gonna start using Firestorm. For Cold Camellia, you will use Tsunami. As I said, this character, she can be played in like 6 or 7 different ways. I gave you melee option and I explained how others work. All you need to do is to copy from Nenio or from Diran build and you're good to go. Do not forget to switch elemental damage, of course. There is one more companion in the game. It's Queen Galfrey. She comes late, okay, into the game. A classic paladin, 20 levels into paladin. Basically, everything I did for Scylla, copy and paste if you wanna play with Galfrey. Including all gear, all spells, everything, like absolutely everything I did on Scylla's guide, apply on Queen Galfrey, and that's about it.